Hey, what's up, Bevcast listeners? Welcome to another episode. I'm Gio.
And I'm Bart. So I was talking to one of our front desk workers at Barbell, and he's also an aspiring real estate agent. And I was like, oh shit, how are things? I haven't seen him in a while because I travel back and forth every 2 weeks. And I'm like, you must be crushing it, huh? Because, real estate is popping off like crazy these days. And he goes, no, not really. I'm like, what? What do you mean? He goes, because it's mainly a seller's market. So if, when you're young like him, you start with representing buyers first, because sellers take lots of rapport, like over time. Like, let's say I've known Gio for 10 years. I might have helped her buy a couple houses. And now the houses that she's owned for a long time, she's starting to sell a couple houses. So being a part of the seller's market, it takes time to get there. He's younger, so everything's a buyer. And because it's a seller's market, it's really, really like tough right now. And I was like, oh,
Why is
shit.
it so tough?
Just because, like, if you're helping people buy and the homes keep going up in price, like the home could be listed for $700 and you're like, you know what, I really want this house, $710, $750. Someone comes up with $800, boom, cash offer.
Is this just in LA or is it all over the place?
All over the place.
So is it because there's just not enough housing for the amount of people coming in to buy?
Yeah, and there's also just wood shortage. So there's you're dealing with like the immigration problem, I guess, and then also you're dealing with just building in general, like inventory problem and like labor problem.
Yeah.
So just parts and all that stuff. But the part that I was like, oh shit, the part that was crazy to me and kind of reminded me of my childhood was we started talking about how my parents, they're divorced, and then they both own houses, and they both were pretty much like low income earners. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy that they both end up owning their own house, even though they didn't make that much. And so I started telling them about how once my parents got divorced, my mom had a 4-bedroom house. And in order for her to make the rent, we had to rent out the other 3 bedrooms. And so I grew up with random adults in my house all the time.
Yeah.
So I felt like I lived like in an Airbnb, because everything is first come, first serve. So if I come home and I can't wait to watch like Spider-Man or something, but the roommate was already there watching TV.
Oh, that sucks.
Not my TV, Or if I want to go to the kitchen, someone's already using the microwave, and it's straight up cafeteria. There's 3 other adults in there, And sometimes it's a couple. Sometimes it could be 4 people because or 2 couples moved in.
Whoa, I didn't even think of that. Because like I never had but once roommate experience. So when I first moved out, I was in my 20s, and it wasn't even my house, and I moved in with 4 of the girls, and that was fun. But I understand what you're talking about, but I don't understand it. It's when like you're like, yo, but this is my fucking house.
Yeah.
But you have no permission to do anything.
Yeah. Or imagine like you lived there, but you're 8.
Damn, that's scary.
Yeah. So I'm like this 8-year-old. And then I was talking about how like I'm like, man, like it's crazy because when you're in the middle of it, you just have a bad time. Like I remember just one of his roommates, and his name was Henry, and I fucking hated his ass because he would always side bust all the time. Like my mom's like scolding me or yelling at me, and he's in the kitchen table just going,
fuck that fucking prick.
yeah, I'm like, motherfucker, you wait fucking 10 years when I get bigger and I'm gonna beat your ass,
Yeah. Where's he at now? Henry, where you at, Henry?
I don't know, but I fucking hated his guts. And
did he ever hit you or do any of that stuff?
No, he didn't.
Oh, he was just a fucking side busting ass.
Yeah, just always
giggly.
like whatever argument or whatever thing happened with me and my mom, he'd always just be laughing or give me dirty looks, or like it's just these unnecessary comments that you're not part of my family, like you just live here type of thing.
Is it cultural though? Was it okay?
No, because he did it the most. There's people that just mind their own business.
Oh, I see.
Some people are like, hey, like there's people of all walks of life. There's sometimes we had this guy named Stanley I really liked. So he was like an older Asian American like grandpa type of dude, but he was super Americanized. So he spoke perfect English, and we would play basketball together. So he was cool.
How cute.
I think he was just like waiting. He was in a transition period where like I think his kids were gonna buy a house. He was gonna end up moving in, but then his other place didn't make it, so he just needed like a room to stay in for like 6 months to a year or whatever. We have like all kinds of different characters.
Yeah.
But the point is, when I was a kid, growing up in a condition where like I have all these random strange adults, my friends come over and like, yo, who's that? Is that your uncle? I'm like, no, I don't even know who that is, to be honest. So people like, you feel like this sense of embarrassment, this shame. You're like, how come my house is like this? Like nine
It
out
is
of
pretty weird.
Yeah, 9 out of my 10 friends don't. Probably the rest of the school doesn't even have a arrangement like this.
I've never met anyone like that.
Yeah, and my mom would be like, "Oh, it's because we're poor. It's the only way we could own a house." I'm like, "Let's fucking forget the house then. How about we just live in an apartment then, and we downsize and it's just you and me, you know?" But I think as an adult, when you're like mid 30s, 40s, 50s, or whatever, you probably have vision in mind. So you're like, "No, we have to own an asset. This will help us be financially sound in the future. These are just some tough times we have to deal with now. It's uncomfortable, but in 20, 30 years, it's all going to pay off," which it really is, because my mom paid off that house, used the equity to buy another house. So being a low income earner, she owns 2 houses, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
My dad, who's a car dealer at a casino, he's retired now. He also owns his house through the same method. Just a lot of Asians just do that method.
I had never heard of that, dude.
Yeah, my dad had, when I got kicked out of school and I lived with my dad from 15 on to like 19, always had other roommates,
You said one of them was like hitting on you.
Yeah, one of them when I was 15, I was in my room and at like 4 or 5 a.m. And at that time I was a raver. So I probably just slept like literally like an hour or two ago, 2 or 3 a.m. She knocks on the door and her haircut's that of the Japanese softball team. She opens the door and she was like, "Hey, your dad wants to kick me out because I haven't paid rent. Is there anything like I can do to stay?"
Ew.
And I'm like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?"
You're 15.
I'm like, "Do you play for the Japanese softball team?" I slammed the door on her. No,
You didn't say yes. Did you think about it a little bit?
not even a little. Well,
You did.
So-
You fucking nasty
no.
bitch.
So I'm a raccoon dicker, which means I'm always down to fuck around, like goof around, just for the experience, not even because I'm like it. So is she
So you
my
wanted to
type?
just fuck
Fuck
with her?
no. But I've never been seduced before and actually fall into a seduction trap. So that part seemed interesting, but she's just so nasty that I was like, no, get away from me. So I
But
didn't.
you thought about it.
Yeah, because I'm a
Were you
raccoon
like,
dicker.
Nah.
It's like someone going like, "Hey, you want to eat this piece of dog shit?" There's a part of me that's like, maybe we
Kind
should.
of.
Yeah, because I'm just such a experienced person. Like I used a wooden pencil for the first time in like 10 years today, just because I wanted to. So like, so me growing up, what's so funny?
Because you're stupid.
What? Did you use the wooden pencil?
I don't.
You lost out of an experience?
No, I do. No, I know the experience. It hurts your finger.
Well, I had a really good time. It was so soft.
Did you keep it?
No, I gave it back. But yeah, so like, growing up, it's embarrassing when your friends come over. And it was even more embarrassing. This is before the internet age, right? So my mom used to make those pieces of paper where she would like write like, "Hey, we have a room for rent," and write the phone number on the little tabs at the bottom so people could rip it. And we'll be at the supermarket, taping it on the wall where the ads wall are, where supermarkets used to have like classified like your own personal like lost dog, that kind of stuff. And people from school, but "Yo, Bart, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Fuck, man, it's so fucking embarrassing."
Why would you even let your friends come over if it was so fucking weird? I wouldn't even let my friends come over.
What do you mean?
Literally that. Like, why would you invite your friends over to your house?
Because when you're small, you just want to kick it with your homies.
Then go to their house.
I do,
No
but
one
then-
ever came to my house.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, maybe guys are different, and also I don't know if like
You weren't that embarrassed then.
I was embarrassed, but that's just how like, it's like a two-way relationship. Like you want people to come over to your house, you want to go over to their house.
Is it because wait, but okay, so you and your mom only lived in one little room?
Yeah, we lived in one room, slept in the same bed.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it's
What
really
about your
weird.
clothes? Where did that go?
We hung it in the closet, but yeah, it was weird. It was like like all my friends had weird questions, and I never really knew how to give the right answers. So I think I just grew up with these weird answers, and we were the only ones like that. Like none of my mom's friends who worked at the same company, when we go visit for birthdays and stuff, none of them lived like
I never
that.
met anyone like that. Like I did, like so the friends that I had in the area that I grew up in was like lower income.
Yeah.
So when I would go to their house and stuff, like I remember one of my girlfriends, her family lived in a garage.
Oh,
Like
shit.
it was literally just a straight up garage. There was no insulation. It looked really poor. Like you
Damn.
walk in, you see like a little queen bed and like a makeshift little sink and stuff. But like your arrangement, I never saw that ever.
And they never invited friends over. Well, you went over, so you.
Well, I went over just to drop someone off.
Yeah.
Like just to drop her off. I forgot why we walked in, and it was. I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah, being like little boys, it's so normal. Like I come out, hang out at your house, you come hang out at my house. Oh, cool, I ate at your family for dinner. Come hang out with mine. And then all of my friends, after they ate my mom's cooking, they never wanted to come over ever again. So my household was just so weird. Like one, random strangers in there, and then I get recognized putting up random classified ads at the supermarket, so everyone thinks I'm extra weird. And the friends that become really close with me that actually make it to come over for dinner, everyone's eating vegetarian food. So it was just.
What was your furniture like? Because right now your mom has like this really stiff wood, hard cushion, like ancient Chinese furniture.
Yeah.
Was that the same?
No. So my parents, they bought probably like just Chinese furniture, store furniture. There's a certain look. Like at my dad's house.
But it's still cushiony.
It's cushiony.
Okay.
Like the furniture at my dad's house. Because that was the furniture from when they got married, you know?
Oh, that's the same furniture? He took the furniture?
No. I mean...
oh, okay.
Because my dad was in my mom's life, my mom wasn't able to buy, like, Chinese artifacts.
Like now she has.
Yeah, like that, like the ones she has right now. They were just buying, like, fucking, like, living spaces Chinese style.
Got it.
Yeah, so it was just really... It was a really embarrassing time. And it was a time where, like, almost every day I'm like, why the fuck was I born into this? And why the fuck do I have to live like this? But then now, when I look at it, I'm like, I'm actually really grateful because I think the indirect lessons that I learned was, one, if you want to make something work, you just be as resourceful as you can.
Make it fucking
and you
work.
can make it work. And so my mom wanted to be a homeowner. She didn't care that she had low income. She's like, I will make it fucking work. And she made it work, and she's a double homeowner, you know? And then the second thing...
Well, wait, let me hold you there, because we got to come back to that, because I do want to introduce our sponsors.
This podcast is brought to you by Liquid Death. So, you may start noticing that there are a bunch of tall boys of beer in the bottled water section of your local stores. Well, it's not beer. Someone didn't misplace them. It's actually mountain spring water from the Alps, and it's called Liquid Death. Yes, the branding is freaking sick, and this water is delicious. When water is coming out of a cold, crisp aluminum can, it does something to the taste where it tastes way better than plastic bottles. And you might be wondering, why is this water called Liquid Death? Well, because it will brutally murder your thirst, and their infinitely recyclable tallboy cans are helping to bring death to plastic bottles. And they put their money where their mouth is, and they donate 10% of each profit from every can sold to help kill plastic pollution. So if you like what they're about, or if you like delicious tasting water, get free shipping on all water and merch at liquiddeath.com/bailcast. That's BEAWCAST. Go to liquiddeath.com/bailcast to get free shipping on all water and merch. Or if you just see it at Whole Foods and 7-Eleven, grab yourself a can and you will thank me.
And we are back. Okay, so the second reason.
And the second one is... there's this saying like pain is temporary, pride is forever or whatever. But I mean that, like the gist of that is there's a lot of like phrases out there where it's like temporary suffering or temporary, you know, shittiness or hustle hard now so you could ball out later. Like I really saw that through my mom and lived it, you know? And for some people, temporary means like a day or a week, or, you know, like, you know, I'll eat good for like 3 months. I'll get in good shape in 3 months. My mom's temporary was like 10 years at a time.
I noticed you highlight your mom a lot.
Yeah.
But didn't your dad do the same thing?
Well, I saw my mom do it because I grew up with her.
Oh, I see.
Right. So like I saw my mom like go to the Chinese bookstore to write in the classifieds for the Chinese newspaper. I went with my mom to the supermarket because that was something my mom also ingrained in me. Like, hey, you're my only son. I'm a woman. You got to protect me. So I'm 8 years old at Wells Fargo, you know, like fucking being her bouncer, make sure no one robs her ass, even though I probably couldn't do anything. But it's just something that she instilled in me that if there's a woman, you got to protect her. So that was something that I always went with my mom. And yeah, but it's just crazy how like she's able to suffer for a short amount of time for a big payout later. And that, I think, is one of the toughest lessons for anybody to learn. You know, it's hard for people to put away their wants, their immediate wants, for a bigger goal.
Well, I mean, it's also very eye-opening for me because as a woman, I don't know how comfortable I would feel allowing men, strange men, rent a room for me when I don't have a man to protect me and I have an 8-year-old son.
Yeah, like let's say I'm out of the picture, it's just you and Taika.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, I'm not gonna, I don't know how comfortable. And your mom's tiny.
Yeah.
Like me, maybe I can handle my own.
Because you're 5'11", yeah.
Yeah. And like, I, you know, I'm like athletic or whatever, but your mom isn't. Your mom's like, what, 5'2"? Fucking tiny?
In shape-ups, yeah.
In shape-ups and a fucking pink visor?
Yeah.
And like, she was like, okay with it. Because you said it was like all walks of life, right? Men and women, all ages.
Truck drivers. I rode in my first semi-truck because there was a truck driver. There was an old lady. There was Stanley, the Americanized.
Did she ever mention like she just was not feeling comfortable?
She did, but she says that doesn't matter.
What?
Yeah. She would be like, hey, you know what? There's this guy. There's too many guys in here, but it doesn't matter. We got to pay the bills. So like, I think from early on, I really learned from her that your emotions ain't shit. It's about accomplishing the goal.
Wow. But I mean, that's your safety.
I mean, it's your emotional attachment to your safety. Because at the end of the day, nothing bad really happened.
God damn.
You know? And you also have the police. And if the police come, it's different from like going into a sketchy neighborhood where someone can commit a crime on you and be one and done.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the person that would commit something on you, all their shit is there. Their car's parked there, their bed is there, their desk is there.
That's true.
So it'd be really dumb of the person to try to commit a crime and run. It's really difficult.
Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, okay, they're committing a crime in their own home.
Yeah, by the time the cops come, you're not going to be able to, I don't know, move your bed out in 15 minutes, you know?
Damn, your mom is a stud, man.
Yeah, so she did all of that. And so I think I watched a physical example of someone that was able to put their own shit, their own preferences, their own emotions aside for the greater good. And I don't think I appreciated it or recognized it at the time until I had the conversation with our front desk guy, because we're just talking about real estate. And I'm like, man, it's a lot easier now. You know, like you got internet, you got Zillow, Redfin, all these things.
Yeah.
You could put blasts out. And then there's screening methods all online.
Yeah.
Versus when I was a kid, I was an 8-year-old taping shit to the wall.
And what would your mom do? Would she like meet with them in person? Would she let them come to the house? And then she was like, hey, this is what it was. It even legal? I don't even know.
I honestly don't even know if it's legal. You know, a lot of these minority, like immigrant workings. It's like the Hispanic guys that work at the back of the Chinese restaurant, right? Like,
I mean, that's illegal.
Some of them are documented. Some of them might not be documented. Some of them are paid cash. You know, like, are they filed for taxes? Like, who knows, you know? Or even the Chinese guys. Some of the Chinese guys don't even know if they're documented.
Yeah.
Like when my dad first came here, he was undocumented, right? And then he worked his way into documentation, into doing things the right way. And finally, my dad has his citizenship. So that's something my dad's so proud of, because I think it took him like 10, 15 years to get it. So he's a very, very proud American.
Yeah.
And he earned all of his American rights.
That's my mom too. My mom and my dad. They were like, we came to this country the right way. We immigrated. We did, you know, all the paperwork we needed to do. We interviewed. We did all of that shit. And my mom's so proud of that, because like where she came from. But fuck, your mom is a stud. And your dad. I mean, just our parents, right? Like coming to this country with nothing, no language, just kind of like sticking to their community and just going like, hey, what, can you show me the ropes a little bit? You know, and there's people that want to fuck you over, and then there's and who do you go to because you're not from here?
Yeah. When I think about it from my parents' side too, I'm like, man, it must have been tough. Like, you know, even with Taika, right? He asked why for everything, and some things are just like, fuck, how do we even explain this to you? And so, how do you explain to an 8-year-old, like, just trust me? Right now, I know it sucks, but in 20 years, 30 years, you're gonna understand why I did this. I'm gonna own a house. And you just can't even explain it. So it almost feels like you have this secret that you have buried that you know is good for them, but you just can't reveal it yet, you know?
Yeah.
And like, how do you live with that secret for so long?
Well, I don't know if it's a secret, but like, I remember my mom telling me a lot of shit. Watch, you'll understand when you get older. You'll understand when you get older. And I would always roll my eyes because I was just like, that just sounds like a cop-out ass answer.
It does.
I'm like, just tell me the fucking truth. But I think it was just because I was too stupid to understand.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, like one of the things would be like, you know, I wanted to go out and hang out with my friends. And then they were like, well, you know, you got to be home by 9 or whatever. I mean, I didn't have that much liberty, but it was more like, okay, I'm going to go pick you up at like 7. And I'm like, damn, but the party doesn't start till like 10. She's like, well, nothing good ever comes about after 10. Like if some shit goes down, it's probably bad. Like if it's happening after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, I'm like, that's so true. I'm going to bed at 10. Because like when we do hang out, not that evil shit happens, but it's like nothing worthwhile is really happening, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sometimes you'll have like a conversation and like it kind of does lead, you know, into the wee hours of the morning or whatever. But for the most part,
Yeah.
anything after 10 o'clock is not good for your health. Like you should be sleeping. You're probably not hydrating. You're not eating. Like there's just, it's just not good.
Yeah.
But
You're not going to reap any rewards of
At all.
when you're 50 years old. You're going to be like, you know, that one time when I was 21, I stayed up until 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Nah, you look like trash the next day. You're
Yeah.
tired. You're probably not going to work out. You're probably going to do shitty at work. Like everything just kind of goes downhill until like you can pick yourself back up. But in the moment, you're just like, bitch, why are you trying to raid on my goddamn parade? Like, let me live life. Goddamn.
I didn't even get to go out when I lived with my mom. I would like see kids. I'm like, at least you guys get to go out. Like my mom was one of those where you don't have rights until you earn them.
How do you earn them?
Things around the house, contribute to the family, put in some work.
Oh, that's not bad.
So like, for example, I'm like, hey mom, I'm going in the front yard and shoot basketball for like 30 minutes. Like, okay, what'd you do to earn that?
Oh shit, you mean literally outside of your house you couldn't even leave?
Literally anything that is FUN, nope.
Oh shit. I
Yeah.
was just thinking like you can't go outside of like your
No,
land.
anything. So the way that I was raised is I'm a fucking Roomba. I stand there and that's it. And if I need to have fun, what did I do to earn it? So if I'm like, like I'm like pretty much like a Roomba. Like the only things that I don't need permission are things that are productive.
Like reading, studying.
So if I wanted to read a book, I don't have to ask my mom for permission. If I want to play piano, I don't have to ask my mom.
You said a piano?
Yeah. I don't have to ask my mom for permission. If I want to go meditate and bow and pray, I don't have to ask my mom for permission.
She's like, that's fun stuff.
Yeah, if I want to do more homework, or if I want to clean the house or wash the car or any chores, I don't have to ask my mom for permission. But anything outside of that,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
What the fuck was your mom's childhood like?
I
Was
don't
that
know.
fun shit for her? Was she like,
No, it's not fun.
reading?
No, it's not fun. It's just my mom wants me to earn everything I ever had. Like
Well,
any
what was
luxury,
hers like?
I don't know. But everything that I wanted to do, you have to earn your right to do it.
God damn.
So if I want to go play, can I shoot basketball for 30 minutes? What did you do to earn it? I'm like, oh shit. If I forgot, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna practice piano for an hour. Then can I shoot? Perfect. Or I'll do extra homework. I already finished the homework, but I'll do extra like math problems. Perfect. Because my mom always has a whole stack of books from the teacher supply store.
Oh my
and she would just give me
God.
extra work. You know, like, or like, oh, can I go play hockey with my friends? And then she was like, what'd you do to earn it? And I'm like, oh, I wrote, I did a bunch of like Chinese school homework over and over. Okay, cool, go ahead. So everything
Oh, you
was
can
earned.
go with your friends? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but I have to earn it though. So it's
Yeah.
never like it's any luxury I have to put in work. So like if Taika was living my life right now, he would have to vacuum like the whole floor before he gets to even watch like Baby Shark, you know?
At what age did this start?
I would probably say it started small doses when I was like 5 or 6.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like I would come home and I remember, so at that time my grandpa, he was still alive, and so he was like my babysitter. My mom would tell him he has to finish these 30 math problems before he can do anything. But for every one that's wrong, he has to do 3 more. So that is to eliminate carelessness. So sometimes the 30, because you're trying to go through them so fast and you want to double check your work, the 30 turns into like 60 real easy.
Where does she get this shit from?
I don't know. I think just Chinese or Taiwanese like child raising tactics. That's probably how it is in the schools over there.
You should probably talk to your mom more.
Really?
Because you don't know anything about her. So it's like, how are you going to understand her or empathize or try to connect with her when you don't know shit about her?
Well, some of these things is just so traumatizing. I think I buried it in my mind, so I don't even want to ask her.
Okay, well, now that it's unburied, why don't you just be like, hey, what was your childhood like? How was it with grandma or whatever?
Yeah.
Or do you think she buried it too, that it's all like fucking rainbows and unicorns
I think
and shit?
when I talked to her about it back in the day, it would just be like, you're a fucking pussy. Your shit's nothing compared to mine.
Okay, well, then give me details on that.
So I guess for her, like, let's say if she came home late, they just kneel outside of the house for like their whole night or something.
But is it real? Or is it like one of those, when I was your age, you know how many miles I had to walk in the snow type of stories?
That I don't know. But based off me knowing my grandma, I think it's real. Because even my grandma would be like, yep, I hung your uncle upside down and put hot sauce in his mouth.
What the fuck?
And I was like, oh shit, okay.
That cute little fucking cotton head?
Yeah.
She has like a fucking, what is that candy called? Cotton candy?
Yeah.
Her?
Yeah. She hung my uncle upside down and fed him hot sauce.
What would she do to Taika?
Probably love him to death.
I mean, yes, as a grandma, but like as a mom.
I don't know, because she loved me to death. She never laid a hand on me.
I know, because she's your grandma, dude.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if that was Taika's mom.
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't have any of these stories, dude.
Yeah, they were tough and they were hard. Yeah, they're like really tough and hard times. And at the time, I hated it, which is probably why I also wrote the suicide note when I was 8, because I was just like, man, this life sucks ass. But I also felt lots of love. So
In what way?
I knew everything came from a good place.
How?
So that's why intentions mattered so much. Like, like the homework. She made me do it because she wants me to be better and smarter.
And she explained that? Because like if you don't...
Either she explained, I don't know what happened, but I felt it. I received it.
I see.
I don't know if I had to do my own deciphering or if she explained it, but I even knew the ass beatings came from a good place. Like I just felt it, everything, all those things all came from a good place. So when I wrote the suicide note when I was 8 and I was gonna like kill myself, I thought about myself going into heaven and then like visualizing myself looking down and then seeing my mom like holding my dead body bleeding all over the place. I started crying to see my mom's heart broken.
Oh.
So I was like, fuck, I don't want my mom to go through that,
Did you give her the note?
No, I never gave it to her.
So you wrote it? Do you remember what you wrote?
I think I wrote something like, Mom, I love you, but I hate my life. And so I think I want to go to heaven or something like that.
Oh, shit. How were you going to do it? How were you thinking of doing it? How did you even know what suicide was?
You see it in enough movies.
At 8?
I mean, I grew up on fucking Chinese kung fu movies and Bloodsport, That's like all the stuff I watched. Because my mom would be like, kung fu, good. So like, I couldn't really watch a lot of shows. But she would just go like, oh, that show, good. Like if it was like, probably if Wayne's World came on, she'll be like, rock and roll, no good. Like that's probably bad. But then she'd rather watch two guys like shank each other to death because, oh, kung fu, good.
Okay, wait. On that note, I'm going to stop you real quick because I do want to introduce our next sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Skillshare. Every human was born to create, whether you started doodling on a piece of paper in elementary school or if you just picked up a paintbrush yesterday, you can explore your creativity and be inspired. And that's what Skillshare is all about. It's an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. And there's tons to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives. Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth, especially at this day and age when a lot of us spend a lot of times at home and we have all these projects that we want to work on. Why not get the help of a professional or go through a really quick course so that you can bump up your quality that much? And especially these days when people are trying to figure out balance with their work balance, their life balance, their passion. How do we balance all of these things and feel like we're living a fulfilling life? Well, there's this class called The Ultimate Self-Care Playbook, and discover and nurture your centered self with Jonathan Van Ness. I think in this day and age, it's so dope that we have so many options, right? Like we can pursue our passion, we can do this, we can make a hobby your hustle. But the problem is when you have too many options, a lot of times we're confused and we don't know which way to go. So having a book like this is freaking rad because it can help you guide yourself so that you can live the most fulfilling life. So make sure you go explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/Bill, BEAW, and get a 1-month free trial of premium membership. Based off some of the classes I've taken, you can finish one entire course in 1 month. So go ahead and go check that out. And if you like it, continue your subscription. If not, hey, you got one free class out of it. Go explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/Bill, BEAW, and get a 1-month free trial of premium membership.
Okay, so we're talking about you writing a suicide note to your mom at the age of 8. What did you write it on?
Just like notebook paper.
Okay. How were you planning on doing it? Because you said you were bleeding everywhere, so you just stab yourself?
So my mom had like everyone has this like a big Chinese butcher knife, and I think I was just gonna slit my wrists.
Oh my God.
It's supposed to be the most pain-free way, right? You just slowly drain out.
I mean, I knew that, but like in high school.
Yeah.
I would never think of that before then. And I only knew it in high school because at that point I can watch PG-13 movies and like, you know, PG-13 also means you can watch R-rated movies.
Yeah.
So that's when I started learning that shit and I was like, fuck, I think I'm going to do the pill route.
Oh, yeah, no, like because the Chinese Kung Fu movies, like, you know those elements of K-dramas that are hella like dramatized? That shit's been going
like the
on.
fucking kimchi slaps?
Yeah, that's been going on in Asian cinema. You know, like oh, my son, like that type of stuff. It's been going on in Asian cinema. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just slit my wrists and just be in a puddle of blood.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay, 8th grade, you are you are a 4th grader. Third grader?
Third grader, yeah. And that's when I got kicked out of my second school already.
Oh my God, why? Why this time?
So that was a timeline. So like, well, in first grade, I got kicked out of my first school, just acting up. In the second grade, or acting up too much.
Is this the one where you're like, fuck you, Mrs. Klinkenberry?
Yeah, Klinkenberg. Yeah, that's my third grade. So I'm already like, what's the point of me living? Like, I'm a fuck up in school.
And you have glasses on and your uniform.
Yeah, no uniform yet. But I'm like, I'm a fuck up in school. Apparently, I'm a bad Buddhist, and I suck at being a son.
Why are you a bad Buddhist? 'Cause you're not listening to your parents?
Yeah, you know, and I don't even like going to the temple and praying and shit like that. I'm like,
because you weren't going to the temple to pray, you were there to fucking live.
Yeah, so it was just, I just felt like, dude, I suck at everything, and my life is unlike any of my friends. Like my neighbor, literally across the street, told me he just went to a Dodger game and had a Dodger dog. And then I'm like, why the fuck am I going to the temple? You know, it's just the life was just so different. Like I'm eating, my mom's been on like this weird organic tip. So, you know, I always talk about stained glass window bread. And then my friend's like, did you try the new French toast sticks from Carl's Jr.? It's so good. And I'm like,
what's Carl's Jr.?
I'm like, no, I haven't. You know?
Fuck. So you have strange men living in your house.
Yeah.
You're eating fucking stained glass
fucking window bread, yeah.
You're going to the Buddhist temple.
Yeah.
You're trying to kill yourself at 8, but your mom's a fucking hustler.
She's a fucking hustler though, yeah. So so it's just crazy.
I can't even breathe. I feel so suffocated hearing these stories.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I didn't have any freedom, but I understood why I didn't have the freedom.
Why?
Well, I mean, because I just grew up in a fucking hood.
Yeah.
So, like...
So you could see, the immediate threats.
Yes, I see it, and I was scared, and I can hear it. There's fucking violence happening. There's drive-bys. I can see the drug transactions happening. I see people, like... I'm witnessing it. So I understand. I'm even scared.
So when you see all that, and then your parents place rules on you, do you now understand and you're okay with the rules?
No,
or
I'm not
are you
okay
still
with it.
rebellious towards it?
I'm very rebellious, but I don't want to hang out in my hood because I understand why I'm on lockdown. For me, I'm like, okay, well, you put me in a different school district so that I don't interact with these hooligans.
Yeah, the hoodlums.
Yeah, with the hoodlums.
Yeah.
So let me hang out in that area because like it was in Montebello, Monterey Park, and it was nice. So Arcadia, Alhambra, all of those cities, they're all right next to each other. I'm like, well, let me hang out there. Like, you know, this area is fucking nice.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to hang out here. I don't connect with these people anyway. Let me go over there. But like, I'm not complaining now that I fucking hear your story. But at that moment, I'm also like, wait, but you raised me. Like, I'm not a bad kid.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think that you did a good job in raising me, that I'm not going to go and fuck and like smoke and do all this crazy shit. But they were just so scared. Like, I wanted to go to like a foreign exchange program because I'm like, any little excuse that I could to leave my house. I'm like, okay, so I'm about to enter college. This is for school. The school said it's okay and safe to send their U.S. students to a foreign country to teach English.
Yeah, they got to establish sister program.
I'm not the first one. I'm not going to this country that has been unfucking tapped.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good communication here.
Yeah.
Can I go there? And they were like, Japan? You don't know the language? It's scary over there. And then I'm like, I find out it's like one of the safest countries in the world.
Even
I'm like,
safer than
what
here.
the fuck, dude? But
Did you ever get an allowance?
no. Allowance was like fucking the most American white people shit ever.
How do you have? How did you eat or something? Or like
My
lunch?
dad would just be, so there was like this running joke of him going like, hey, I'm gonna give, like, randomly one day he's like, hey, I'm gonna give you $20. Always carry cash on you. Always carry cash on you. That was all his whole thing. You never know what's gonna happen. This is before debit cards were.
But how do you eat lunch though?
I had it for free.
You got it for free?
Yeah, I would get free lunch.
Like with a little ticket in high school?
Yeah, I guess so. Like a number, they would give you like a number, and then you just like input your number.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know how she like loopholed it, or maybe we just were that poor. But then of course, as a kid, you want the Hot Pocket, or you want the Hot Cheetos.
Yeah, how do you get the Hot Cheetos?
Yeah, so then I would use the $20, and then randomly he'd be like, hey, where's those $20 I gave you? And I'm like, they're gone. And he's like, how many times I have to tell you? So it's just him randomly giving me money, or for like my birthday I get money, or the Tooth Fairy. So, or like, that's when I started selling shit because I wanted more money to buy more stuff. So then that's when I would go to like Costco and get candies and then sell them and make more money. Or I would have yard sales. Like, I would try to do anything to get money.
My mom would give me $5 a day.
Damn, that's a lot of money.
So $25 a week, pretty much.
That's a lot. How much is that a month? $100.
Yeah, but I spent $5 like on lunch, or like snack and lunch. So I'll get like a Hot Pocket and a Flamin' Hot Cheeto, and then I'd buy like a chicken sandwich during lunch, and then that was a $5. And what I realized is when my mom like penny pinched like that, maybe that's all she could afford. Who knew? And I realized I needed money, I would actually start skipping my lunches to save money. And that's actually how I started slanging.
To get more money?
Yeah, because I was like, well, I literally have the exact money for food. So this was in high school now. So with the $25, if I could save the whole week and not eat the whole week,
oh my God,
then I can buy a dub sack of weed. Or I could buy it from a homie that'll hook me up kind of fat. Like maybe give me 1.5 grams or 2 grams, Then I'll sell the dub sack, and then I'll have like additional money and then also extra weed on the side. So I would slowly do that, and I built it from $25 to $100, like $200. And then now I'm back to eating again. And when I lived with my pops.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
My pops actually hooked me the fuck up compared to before. My dad
with money?
Yeah, he gave me $100 a week. Because I think he just knew. I think, like that was a time where, remember I told you.
Probably looks sickly, dude.
Remember when I told you the story of how my dad found like a deodorant full of weed? I thought I was the most genius kid in the world. I have a big Old Spice deodorant.
That's actually a pretty good.
Right? So I screwed it all the way to the top, cut off half of the deodorant. Now there's empty space between the bottom of the deodorant and where the screw is. And I'd be able to hide like an ounce of weed in there. And then also it covers up the smell. It's in my backpack. I play sports. It makes sense.
Like, this fool doesn't use fucking deodorant.
Makes sense why I have deodorant. And I actually put deodorant on too, even though I didn't really need it, but I used it. So I was like, there's no way my dad would know. You can't even smell it, because it just smells so fresh. And one day he came and showed me the weed when I was watching TV. What the fuck is this? I'm like, oh shit, science project. And he goes, I'm going to talk about it when I get home from work. So I just know that's the code for getting your fucking ass beat.
He didn't beat your ass right then and there? Why?
He's probably late for work or something. And I was like, oh shit, because he worked night shift. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. And so I think after knowing that, and after me getting kicked out of school, I think he probably, my dad's actually really logical and rational. Because that's what was probably when he was like, I think my son wants extra money. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he's going to find bad means or whatever means he can to get it. Because also my mom didn't let me work. So if my mom doesn't let me work and I still want more money, then of course I'm only going to go the only way I know how. And so my dad was like, here, he gave me $100 a week. And then with the $100 a week, that's everything. Food, if I want to buy car stereo,
You can save.
go out, wear clothes, all that stuff. And for once, I actually didn't feel like, what is it called? This like, it didn't, even though my dad is more poor than my mom, I didn't have a sense of poverty living with my dad.
Yeah.
Because $100 is actually
I get
a
it.
lot, you know?
Yeah.
So I just felt
And
like.
I think that's when it mattered the most. I think that's when you're the most influential, and I think that's, or influenced. I think that's when you're really trying to discover your identity for the first time.
Yeah.
So I think it was a very pivotal and like life-saving moment for you.
Yeah. And I was
Living
able
with
to
your
like
pop.
manage and save things that I want. So I'm like, oh, cool. If I have car stereo, oh, cool. I could save, you know, for maybe like 8 weeks or 3 months. Put this much away. So like now my wheels started turning, and then I didn't have to think of criminal activities. It's just time.
That's good, because I think at that phase when I was in high school, it's like you're very hormonal.
Yeah.
Now you have crushes. Now you want to fit in. You have like a sense of shame now. Like you're like this little adult that doesn't know what the fuck is happening. You're not a baby, but you're not really full-blown adult either. You don't have real adult responsibilities, but now you're prepping to be an adult. So it's like this weird phase in life. And I think that's when, for me, I felt the most suffocated and the most alone. And I think that's when I wanted to kill myself. Was at that age.
Oh,
yeah.
shit, yeah.
And I think for you, you felt that, I guess, early on, but you didn't have the same pressures, I guess.
No.
Because you weren't going through like the whole puberty shit, and like, yeah, you felt shame, but like in a different way.
And going through puberty, it was during a time where I was way more rebellious now. So yeah, there were more rules, but I didn't really give a fuck about those rules. So now it's like I'm sneaking out the window at night. It was like, you know, like almost like a balloon. Like when you start squeezing it, it's gonna go in another direction, you know? So I think when you're a baby, like when I was 8,
You're very moldable.
you're moldable, and you're like, oh shit, okay. So, you know,
You have fear.
So you just felt all this compression, and then I was like, oh fuck, maybe my life sucks, you know? But then as you get older, then you just start squeezing, and you can't control a 13-year-old the way you can control an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I'm going out, I'm gonna start slinging, I'm gonna start smoking cigarettes, I'm gonna get into fights, and it's just like all of that started like, you know, pushing out in other areas of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy, man. Like now that I have a kid, it's like you can only do what you know, and then you kind of like go back into your fucking memory bank, and you're like, well, damn, that didn't work on me, so let me not do that. But then you're also kind of putting it on this kid who is nothing like you. They're their own person, and you're kind of rolling the dice here, because you're like, well, if it didn't work with me, it might not work with them either, so let me try the opposite of what my parents did, and hopefully that works better. But then that might even fuck them up. Like, it's such a hard fucking place for parents.
Yeah.
Like right now I'll hear, like, Taika is way more cognitive, and like he's very much more self-aware, and he can express himself, and he has like self-awareness and like thoughts and opinions. So like I can hear both of us sometimes going in on him, going, stop, don't do that, don't talk to your dad like that, don't say that to your mom. And it's like back to back to back to back to back. And at times I'm like, fuck, was that what we were supposed to do? Were we supposed to check him every single thing that he did wrong? Or are we supposed to back off? Like, it's, I don't know, man, this parenting shit.
For me, I do a lot of like
It's hard.
I think I do a lot of like the way you would in a fight. You know when you're fighting someone?
Never fought anyone.
Okay, so in a fight, like between two trained fighters.
Oh, trained fighters.
Yeah, like you throw
Still
a
never fought anyone.
Yeah, you throw a jab out, right? And you see how they react. You throw it again, you're like, okay, cool. Did they react the same time? Do I hit them in the face? Do they cover? Okay, cool. I see what else opens up, you know? So for me, that's how.
So you're not hitting him. You're just saying that, like.
That's how I treat it. That's how I treat my parenting style. Where I think my mom never threw a single jab. She didn't give a fuck. This is my way or the highway, right? She didn't go, okay, let me push him here. Is that good or bad? Push him here, good or bad? It's literally like, this is how my mom raised me.
This is the right
and she
only
downloads
way.
all that information, and now I'm gonna force download that into you. With Taika, I'm not like that at all. I know how I was raised. So And I also know like what on paper, at least psychologically, what's the best way to raise kids.
Yeah.
So I probe them, you know, like, so like I never turn the knob from 1 to 10. I'll like turn it 1, see how it reacts. And then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He can handle it. The next time 2, 3, 4, 5. And so just to see how it reacts. And then like, even with, and I match what he gives me, right? Like, you know, with recently with jiu-jitsu, there's a couple of times that he has cried as if like his life depended on it, even though the situation was not dire whatsoever.
Oh, like going there and he's like, I'm scared.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the world is crashing down around him.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but because that level, I've turned it there gradually. I'm like, okay, cool. I've turned it to 7. This is what he gives me. What happens if I turn it to 8? Or what happens if I turn it to 7, but give him a lot of love, right? So that's what I did. That day, I was like, I don't know if he's really deathly afraid or if he's this. I don't know. I have to decipher the information he gave me, right? So that day, I turned it to 8, but also gave him a lot of love, and he broke through.
By turning the 8, you mean like pushing him a little bit more?
Yeah.
Because like it's like, yeah, he's scared, but I don't really know if he understands at what level of scared he is. Let me just push him to get on the mat, to talk to more kids, like push him to eventually do it by himself.
Yeah, like 1 was putting on the uniform. 2 was sitting on the bleachers with me. 3 was we both sit on the mat. 4, you sit on the mat, but you can't face me. You got to face the front, you know. 5, 6. And every time he's crying, but I'm also reading. Like it's not a one-way street for me. It's always throw out a jab. What kind of information you give me? So now I'm like, okay, cool. And then you're like, you know, you're kind of just driving stick. You're just kind of feeling it. What's the feedback?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I do think as parents, you have to go overboard to know where to dial it back from.
Right.
And then so I'm like, you know what? Let me try it. And then because all the signs told me to. Boom, dialed it to 8, but I'll give you lots of love so you feel the support. And that was the day he broke through, had a great time, grappled, did all this stuff. And I'm like, cool. Now I know, right? So now I know when I see him cry that intensely, but if I give him that much love and it really isn't that scary, it's all in his head, this is what we do every time and it's going to work. Maybe until the next age, then we have to do other breakthroughs. But that's at least how I gauged it. And I think that's the biggest difference between I was parented, where it's just, this is a manual, whack you in the face with it. You have to force to live by this. Versus for me, I'm like, I read the manual.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think there's different ways to implement the manual.
Yeah, I mean, because you got both extremes. Whereas like your mom was like, this is a manual. This is the only way. Learn it or die.
Yeah.
And then your dad was like, oh shit, wait a minute. He's a man. He's independent. He has his own thoughts. Let's give him extreme freedom and see what happens. So you got like, it's really cool. Like you got both fucking far extremes, and now you're able to like gauge both and be like, okay, well, I like that my mom did this because it made me a man and, you know, this fashion. And then I like my dad because it made me a man in this fashion. I think that's great.
Yeah. And I think I'm also very grateful of the military too.
Yeah.
Just because in the military, there are some things that are just straight black and white, yes or no. And that's just the way
like
it is. Yeah, they're non-negotiable. And if we have the luxury, I could explain it to you. But right now,
it's life and death.
It's life and death, and you have to do it. But it's not in a forceful way. It's letting them know that some black and white non-negotiables are going to be in a very calm manner.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And later on, I'll explain it to you. But right now, it has to be this way. And I'm really grateful for those two because, you know, sometimes you just have to lay down the rules. And no matter how many times they ask why.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And that's just the way it is. I've also seen parents get wrecked by kids because they're just asking why. And the parents are like trying to undo what they were taught, right? They were probably forced by their parents to do everything. So like, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to explain everything. And then they explain everything, and the kid's like, all it takes is, but why?
Yeah,
fuck, here's another time. And then now you pretty much get nowhere with parenting, you know? And then now the kid does
walking all over you.
Walking all over you, literally does zero activities that are good for themselves or not productive whatsoever.
They don't know shit. You still need to guide your kids, people.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, no, I don't want to eat that. And it's like, okay, don't eat it then. You get to do it yourself. I don't know. There really is no wrong or right way. I think, or I guess there is a wrong way, and it's like, you know, letting your kid fucking guide its own life. And I think that's the worst shit you can do because they're fucking babies. They don't know what the fuck is good for them.
Yeah.
But I think also shoving shit down their throat all the time is the fucking worst also, because it's like they are their own person. Let them develop. Let them fall on their face. Let them learn. Let them explore. Let them be creative. Let them be kids. And then there's just so many different styles. There's different cultural differences. There's different like cognitive differences. There's different. Oh my God. I don't know, man. Just don't have kids. That's the easy way out.
It's tough. I'm like, I love
rewarding.
I love traditional values and traditional respect. I think that stuff's so cool.
Do I.
You know, I think like
there's order.
Yeah, even like amongst my favorite fighters, like the ones like Khabib or Anderson Silva, they just have like this honor system. It's just like, man, that's really cool. You know, like there's this respect. Like Khabib, he's one of the greatest of all time, still calls DC his coach. Hey, coach. And it's like, man, there's just a level of respect and you understand, and there's morals, strong morals.
I mean, there's pros and cons to both, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's just whatever your soul and your personality vibes with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's just no right way.
Yeah.
All right, folks. On that note, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. I really love you guys. And also thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, barbellbrigade.com. That is me and Marber's own fitness brand. If you're ever in downtown LA, make sure you come and check out the gym. We are a 5,500 square foot, very serious, but also very fun warehouse training facility where you can go hardcore, slam the weights, and give it your all and live that dominate humbly lifestyle. And if you need something to help jumpstart your fitness, go check it out. Go to barbellbrigade.com for the 30-day jumpstart. We have a full video library of recipes and how-tos, and every single workout is videoed and dialed in so you can see and follow along. So make sure to go check that out. And shout outs to our sponsor, Joombi. Go to joombishop.com to get ceremonial grade matcha at affordable price. Use the code BEAW, BEAW, to get 10% off the daily serving packets as well as the matcha tins. And we have all kinds of flavors on there. So make sure you go to joombishop.com. See you guys next time.
Bye.